Good morning. Welcome to Sunrise. Joke Rogers.
Good morning. Welcome to Sunrise.
Well,
I am Makinde.
well, I'm glad there was literally a calm after the storm.
Which storm?
Yesterday. The winds were, I thought the winds were going to blow me away. Honestly.
I assure you,
Yes, that
you are not that light.
Well, I take offense.
Take it to.
Are you saying I'm heavy?
No, I am not. I'm not giving you offense. So you are the one that chose to take it, and that is stealing.
Are you saying
you cannot
I'm
take
heavy?
something that doesn't belong to you?
The people that will deal with you will deal with you.
Who are the people that will deal with me?
Well, all of us know them.
It was well. Let's just say that, you know, the season is doing what it has to do.
Yes.
And we are grateful to God that at least we have that, you know, working for us and on our side. The only thing is, you know, the rainy seasons usually come with its own challenges and produces its own stuff. So the important thing is for all of us to take all necessary precautions to ensure that we're not found wanting and we're not caught unawares. Because ultimately that's what's important. So what else happened this week?
Well, you know, several things happened.
Well, that abduction was like kind of
there were several abductions too. Again, there was one in Ondo that was reported yesterday. A 9-year-old boy was abducted. In Zamfara State, troops rescued three. No, in I think Akwa Ibom State, troops rescued 3 children that were previously abducted. Great news from the Owo one, you know, that the people, 4 of 5 that were on trial for the Owo massacre have been sentenced to death. One of them acquitted because they couldn't prove a case against them. So that one is there. In Oyo State, the governor has moved ahead, has signed an executive order, I believe, banning the operations of motorbike riders, you know, the commercial ones, at night.
But the ones that abducted, from available information, the ones that abducted the members of the family of the former Minister of Power.
Yes, that one.
They weren't Okada riders, at least to the best of my knowledge. And then I also saw that, you know, the governor has visited him to commiserate and all of that. He's cheery. He was cheery and all of that. But what I don't understand is, first of all, this happens every pre-election year. Every pre-election, the cycle, the 4-year cycle. Every pre-election year, the 4-year cycle, we have these situations happen from time to time. And almost every time, particularly at the federal level, the incumbents also always come to power. Why don't you just change strategy? I know that strategy is not working. It's not working. The incumbents always come to power. You make them look bad, or you like. Well, there are those who would also say that President Jonathan's case was an exceptional one. The truth of the matter is, if President Jonathan had returned then, there are those who argued that he would have crossed a constitutional barrier, which was what necessitated the issue of the doctrine of necessity at the time. Because if he had if he had won the 2015 election, there are those who argued that he would have gone more than the 8-year tenure for a president, And there are those who are wondering, how is he going to, you know, do that again and all that. But that's by the way. So there are those who would say, you know, things like that. But ultimately, what's important here is that strategy. For those who say it is political, there is good reason to say it is political. But it's the lives of people
that we're
talking about here. Okay, during elections, those things don't happen. Why? After elections, those things don't happen. Why? So I mean, we are in the news. We know that this is the trend of this thing. So why these things happen this way, and we just seem to be to not be able to control them is very troubling. Okay, let me not even lie.
Troubling. And then also, we do know that the cyberbullying case against Moyele Sowore, has been adjourned till June 16th or 20th. I can't remember the exact dates, but he's doing his own defense, and he's asked the judge to recuse himself in this case. Well, I don't know how far that will go, but cyberbullying is a very, very serious thing, really.
There are some things that, in my opinion, they just don't deserve attention.
Yeah.
But let's just see how this, because there are cases of law and all of that. So let's just see how it all goes.
It's still an allegation.
Yeah.
So.
And then there's the issue in South Africa. I saw Nigeria is now to bring home 1,000 nationals, Nigerians from South Africa. I saw one video of there's some people who said that this is what South Africans do from time to time, and then they go, take on the property of fellow Africans, who had been doing such things. But the guy now said, don't do that with Ghanaians, because the Ghanaians actually went after the South Africans in South Africa. They stopped this nonsense, and that, according to the guy in that video, I can't confirm it, the guy said other Africans have now begun to respond.
All right.
When I was speaking, because really we need to have a conversation about that thing, particularly because the South African government at some point wasn't saying anything. It looked as if the political blowback was more important than the lives and dignity of the Africans that were there.
And it goes to show, a lot of times there are calls on African leaders to be united. African leaders should be in solidarity with one another. African leaders should look inwards. It's all about the leaders. What about we as the people?
Let's start from those leaders. Okay?
Yeah, I know we can start, but
hear you.
Even the people now, we'll see what we're doing.
See, my dear, it's leaders emerge from the people.
Yeah, well, that's true.
The government officials weren't saying much. They didn't call my colleagues, my fellow Africans in South Africa, my fellow South Africans, to order. There was we didn't hear reports of any maybe state official or security officials or police or anything, asking for calm and all those things. Unlike when it happened in Ghana, where there were diplomatic, conversations, between Nigeria and Ghana that quelled the issue. Even whether the issue is still until that is another thing altogether. But this has been on for a while. Xenophobia is now identified with South Africa. That's not a good thing.
It's actually not.
That's not a good thing.
It's not.
That is not a good thing. And if people continue to have that kind of image, it's just, I don't think it's what we want to get into. Let's just hope, that at the end of the day, those who need to do something about it will do something about it, because we are not having it anymore.
So what do we have today? Yes, terrorism. Here we go again. This conversation that never seems to stop. Focus on soft target attacks, which is, part of what we opened our discussions with.
Absolutely. And then
this morning.
This urgent climate action is part of our next conversation. What do we need to do to drive urgent climate action today?
And then we have inside Nigeria's broken justice system.
Well, you may want to argue whether it's broken or not. Just yesterday, when we interviewed the Chief of Naval Staff, he was saying administration of justice was frustrating the Navy from doing what it's supposed to do. So that's probably one of the reasons for this.
And then lifestyle, real skin, real solutions.
You'll find out what all of that is about later on. And we have our taste of the week. I'm not going to give you any spoilers.
Well, get ready to... Okay.
Get ready to... In the meantime, if you're not fasting, grab a cup of cocoa or cocoa or with cocoa or whatever.
Wait, how do you call the cup? Or grab a cup of nothing.
Maybe you can use a failure. I surrender totally. You are my destiny. take control of my life. My hopes, my goals, my dreams.
So welcome back, everybody, and that song rings truly. Take control is what Nigerians, we've started doing those prayers that
Yeah.
God should take control of our country, especially with all these insecurity. We've had people go on prayer walks. We've had even protests, following that Ogumosho abduction. I'm sure that many people did not realize that in the Southwest, we would take to the streets in protest against
Because it's very
insecurity.
alien to the people.
Yes.
It's a conversation.
So now it has come upon,
I don't believe, my apologies, I don't believe it's a new normal in the Southwest, because, even in the middle belt, in the North Central, I don't believe it is. Jos had an extremely amazing image.
Yeah.
Anyone from the West who wanted to come to Nigeria went to Jos.
Yeah.
So what has happened to Jos now? That those will be wondering, what do we do going forward? So the challenge needs to be dealt with, but the disturbing part of this today is the issue of soft targets, young children, and all of that, and it's becoming a criminal norm that should not be excused.
Right, and so we have to talk about terrorism and a focus on soft targets, as Ayo has, plainly put it. We have Dr. Abayomi Shogunle, Commissioner of Police, School Protection Squad, Force Headquarters, Abuja. He joins us from our Abuja studio. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. And we also have Dr. Kabiru Adamu, Managing Director of Beacon Security and Intelligence. He joins us virtually. Thank you for joining us on the program.
My pleasure. Good morning.
Right. So let me start with you, Dr. Shogunle. I don't even know where to start, really. This issue of soft targets, we do know that, insecurity is not alien. It's something we're trying to, overcome. I'm not sure there's any society that's totally free of crime in that sense, but the extent of it is the major issue. And when you can't really get, hard targets, when you can't hit, those you are trying to get, you cause pain by hitting soft targets, by kidnapping children, kidnapping people's wives and aged people. What do you think the motive is when these terrorists or bandits or gunmen go after soft targets? What do they intend to achieve, really, in your experience?
All right. Thank you very much, Joke. I absolutely understand your feelings, and even if you are just saying a little, I understand what's actually going through your mind, as well as many Nigerians. Just from the focus of conversation this morning, soft targets. Yes, schools, educational facilities are part of soft targets, which the enemies of the state try to get into so that they can get the attention that they need. And we in the security forces, we clearly understand their tactics, and adequate measures has been put in place to ensure that their criminal acts of disruption are prevented. And I will tell you that for every attack that is recorded, several hundreds have been prevented by the security forces. And adequate security measures have been put in place. And part of the major things we're doing is being proactive, preventing the attacks from happening, also engaging the communities. And that's the reason why you will see that even from available data, incidents of attacks on schools or incidents of attacks on educational facilities across Nigeria has reduced drastically compared to what we had 10, 15 years ago. The data are available, they are there, and this has also been recognized by global educational stakeholders. So what are the things we're putting in place to ensure that these terrorists don't get their way? We have adopted a whole society approach in ensuring safety of schools and learning environments in Nigeria. We have specialized trained police units in Nigeria cut across each of the senatorial districts in the states in Nigeria. And we have been doing this through confidence patrol, acting on actionable intelligence, and also preempting these groups from getting their way. And when it comes to issue of motivation, you know, a pattern has been discovered, and you know, because of the current situation we have in Oyo and Borno, where the government is trying to get these school children and their teachers home safely, you know, some of the issue of motivation might not be mentioned for now on this program.
Right, and you know, as we did when we started, we talked about you know, these kind of attacks being alien to a region like the Southwest. A lot of people had been apprehensive before now when we first heard about the attacks, you know, on communities in a state like Kwara State, Kayama, and you know, some other communities, and there was a fear that it was moving southwest, and then we heard of kidnapping somewhere in Ogun State, and then we had this in Oyo State. Why do you think, you know, there's a gradual move from, you know, the regions that we usually hear of this? I don't want to stereotype any region really, but that it's a common occurrence, you know, in the northern parts of the country, and then it moves to the southwest. And in, you know, Orire local government area of Oyo State, I mean, that kind of thing, the school seems to be like in a localized area where you probably won't see security, you know, apparatus, security presence being there unless something of this magnitude happens. So, you know, why do you think, you know, this the pattern of violence has moved down south?
This also still points to the issue of the motivation behind the attacks, and what the security agencies have been able to discover is that, you know, when you dislodge criminals from a particular area, when they are no longer able to operate in a particular area, they tend to move to some other places, you know, and I want to believe that is what is happening. And almost all the attacks you mentioned that has caused apprehension, it's there in the news that arrest has been made regarding the people responsible for those attacks. And it is on record that in the past 1 or 2 years, most especially in the last 6 months when the security cooperation started between the federal government of Nigeria and the government of the United States of America. You will have observed that a lot of these terrorist camps and their leaders and individuals have been degraded, and actions are being taken, like in the case of the kidnapping you earlier mentioned in Oyo State. Arrest has been made regarding those ones that happened some week ago. And in the case of this particular incident in Orire, in Koyile, in Oyo State, in about 24 hours when this incident happened, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Olatunji Disu, visited the scene, and I accompanied the IG on that assessment visit. Just as you have said, these are communities that are far away from urban settlements. And that's actually not even an excuse, because every inch of Nigeria has to be protected by the security agencies. And during that visit, we were able to make some observations, and certain things have been put in place to ensure that such don't happen in that area and similar areas. And in particular to the case in Oyo State, as we speak, coordinated efforts are ongoing in ensuring that the victims are brought home safely. Everything that is needed to be done is being done. Actions are being taken to ensure that these elements, these criminal elements, don't have access to do the bad things that they have done.
Okay. Well, Dr. Adam, let me bring this to you. Let me start from this one. The Constitution, the dictum of the police, I think the laws as set of the police says the number one assignment of the Nigerian police, for instance, is to prevent crime. Now, it would seem like we are tailing that objective as opposed to being proactive. So we're now fighting crime instead of preventing crime. I know that the police have their position, but Dr. Damo, I'd like you to speak to that however you can. What are your thoughts on that? Because if the primary assignment is to prevent crime, it would suggest that we have an idea that some things are likely to happen, and consequently we best do what we can to prevent the occurrence as opposed to the trauma that people are now having to live with. What are your thoughts on that, Dr. Adam?
Platform. It has been a very long hiatus. Of course, this is a period that is concerning for everybody. And yes, the whole essence of national security is to prevent. Where national security becomes reactionary, then it's very obvious that we are failed. And I believe that at the moment, there are significant preventive measures that are being taken, that are being done. But then there are also significant reactive measures. And I can give you some very quick examples. Just yesterday, the FCT Police Command were able to prevent several incidents that could have occurred. And that's how it is in several locations across the country. But at the same time, we are also recording several incidents. Now, what is the reason for that? I believe there is a legacy that has been inherited by this government, a very bad legacy, unfortunately. Long periods of decay for the police, and this is as a result of the long history of military rule, that across some of the leadership, the presidency of some military personalities, there was a direct attempt to make the police ineffective, and for obvious reasons. So we're where we are, and I know as part of the Renewed Hope agenda, there is an element about police reform. And we've seen some of the indicators of that reform already in place, but it is work in progress. Under the Buhari administration, the Police Act was reviewed. Unfortunately, the implementation of the content of that act didn't really happen the way it is. So it is work in progress, and I'm hoping that as we continue in this conversation, we will continue to advocate for improvement in the functions of the police. There is no country that can afford not to have a functional police. And I must say that at the moment, there is room for improvement in our policing functions. Of course, you are all aware, one of the conversations is to have state police. Maybe as we progress in that conversation, we'll see an improvement in policing. But for now, the gaps are many, and there is a need to improve upon the policing functions in Nigeria. I'm very delighted with some of the moves that the new Inspector General of Police, Tunde Disu, has done, including enhancement in practical performance and operational performances of the police. But like I said, the problems are so many. I can spend the next 24 hours discussing problems of policing in the country. But I think I'll just end my remark by advocating and telling the Inspector General of Police to enhance the monitoring and evaluation capacity of the police. Just to give you an example, checkpoints. How useful are they? Have we, at any point in time, ever measured whether these checkpoints have been able to stop crime? Or are they just avenues to extort Nigerians? So, I mean, we can introduce a sociological study to check the efficacy of this checkpoint. And if at the end of that study, empirical study, it is proven that those checkpoints actually stop crime, then we continue with those checkpoints. But if at the end of that study, it is shown that those checkpoints add to the frustration and mistrust between Nigerians and the police, then the logical thing to do is to stop that policing method, because it is just a method. We can stop it and introduce another method. So that's the kind of approach that I'm hoping to see.
The challenge that this is producing for a good number of Nigerians is that we've been talking about soft targets, to the best of my knowledge, for more than 10 years. The occurrence of the Chibok girls was in 2014, in the build-up to the election, just as we are having it now. And then there was the Safe School initiatives. The whole idea, as you have said, was to prevent this whole, idea of soft targets being, attacked and people feeling generally unsafe. And it would seem like, as Dr. Shogule said the other time, it would seem like it's only the ones that are public that we know. There are several that are being prevented that we didn't even know, even by the people. So to the issue of soft targets, is there, what's missing? You have spoken about the Safe School initiative before. You proposed some things around it. Maybe it's a good time for you to repeat those things, because the kids in Oyo State, for instance, Ogbomoso was in schools, in Ibadan, they were going to school. So what exactly, what are the gaps? Is it the funding gap? Is it the monitoring gap? Is it what exactly have you seen?
So first off, there are three instruments that the government across, from the Buhari, actually from before the Buhari administration, then this current administration, have for ensuring security among our schools. And I'll quickly mention them. The Safe School initiative that you mentioned, the Safe School declaration that Nigeria ratified, I think it was in 2017, if I'm right. Then the national policy on safe, secure, and violent-free schools. We gathered the world in Abuja in 2019, I think, and launched that national policy with its implementation guidelines. And of course, because education is in the concurrent list, it was a launch that incorporated both the federal and the state governments. And so a few years down the road, we don't need to go far to answer the question, why are we Why do we still have vulnerable schools? The simple answer is that we have not implemented the provisions that are in these three instruments. And I know that there is a need for an investigation. What happened to the monies that were voted for the purposes of the implementation of the provisions? Each one of them, each one of these three instruments that I mentioned, if you pick them, they are good enough. Believe me, as an expert who has studied them, I know that they are good enough. They have components of the, both government, both communities, members of the school community. Everybody has a role to play if you pick any of these three instruments. But then we're where we are. There are countries that have only one of the instruments and they have been able to secure their schools. How come we have three, but we've not been able to? So I believe that there is a need to investigate what happened to the funds that were put aside for the purposes of each of these instruments. And this is a call to both the federal government and the National Assembly. Under the Buhari administration, make funds release or disbursement easier. He put that responsibility in the Ministry of Finance. And I think either an assistant director or deputy director was given that responsibility. Today, we're where we are. Our schools are still vulnerable. So in simple sense, what I'm trying to say is that the answers are available. We don't need any new instruments. We already know what to do. The challenge, however, is that we are not implementing that impunity that is unfortunately permeated the Nigerian society. Is the reason
for so in other words, Dr. Adamu, it sounds like you're saying you're questioning whether or not, well, as you said, there are clear guidelines that we should have taken on that we haven't. But then there are those who are also saying that a good number of the things that we're having, particularly now, they are politically motivated. Do you agree with them?
Yes, this would take us into the realm of terrorism, as it were. Earlier on, you asked my co-discussant why soft targets. And I think we need to take a step back and look at the information space. In terrorism, there are three components to any terrorism eco space: the government, the bad people, and then the audience. You and I and every Nigerian is the audience if you remove the government and you remove the bad guys. So both the government and the bad guys are trying to influence the audience. And how do they influence the audience? Through the media space. And believe me, any terrorism campaign, whether counterinsurgency, counter-terrorism, is won through that campaign. Now, I've taken a step back and I've looked at what is happening in Oyo State. Some of the pictures that are being circulated, the so-called demand by the terrorist groups. And I asked myself, it looks like we're inadvertently allowing these terrorists to win that space, that audience that we should have taken over. So to answer your question, why soft targets? The simple reason is because they know that is what will evoke the sentiments. Why in this very difficult period when politics has begun? Because they know that security is one of the issues that would determine the outcome of the 2027 elections. And they are going to continue to use the media space in an attempt to show that security is failing. So what do we do as a people? We need to unite together and condemn evil for what it is. Irrespective of whether you are a journalist, whether you are a teacher, whether you are whatever you are, we need to come together.
Just a second, you said they. Who are they?
So the terrorists, and Ayo, before you ask me who the terrorists are, our Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act is very clear on who a terrorist is. So the onus is now on our law enforcement, all of them, and again, about 42 of them, to make sure they go after these terrorists as defined by our TPPA as amended in 2022. Go after them, and this includes the eco space, the actors. Imagine putting a chessboard in front of you. There is a king, there is a queen, there are pawns, there are knights. So this is the kind of image that I'm hoping our law enforcement agencies and security forces would think about when they are going after these terrorists. Ours is to support them. And this is what I'm using this audience to call on every Nigerian to support them. But their role is to go after them, go after the kings, go after the queens, go after the knights, go after the the bishops, go after everyone that is on that chessboard.
Right.
And how do they do that, Ayo? The intelligence.
Yes.
Intelligence is the key. And I can start mentioning the channels.
Yes, we will be here for 24 hours, actually, as you alluded at the beginning, if you do start mentioning them. So, CP Shogunle, I'll take it right from there. Intelligence, there's a chessboard. There's the bishop, there's the king, there's the queen, there's the pawns. I believe that, these soft targets are the pawns in this matter. But then everyone else on the chessboard is, you talk about the federal government, the state, and of course the community. And, let's take a look at this community. When you spoke earlier, you talked about some of the tactics that is being used to prevent attacks or to prevent crime or all the same. And this is, by involving the community such that, you prevent, there are layers of attacks, the planning stage and the execution stage, and then, where people now try and they start to look for ways to get their family members who may have been kidnapped back. So how do you, how would I put it now? How do you carry out this cooperation with, community members to ensure that you get their buy-in to safeguard, members of the community, especially schools, because we're talking about school. You are the head of the School Protection Board, and you have your work cut out for you, really, because there's so many schools. How many of them are we going to protect? We have issues of perimeter fencing. A lot of these attacks, they actually break into student hostels, they break into classrooms, and they abduct young children, some as young as 2 years old. And we've also had, I'm sorry that, this question is almost this long. We've also had instances where there are allegations that even the communities are the problems. They're the ones that are the informants. They actually aid, these attackers in ensuring that, they have a smooth operation when they eventually do carry out the attack. So what are the things that you're doing to sensitize the community and to involve them better in the protection of schools and the protection of their immediate community?
For that question, let me also align with some of Dr. Adamu's points before I come to answer your question. One thing, when there's an issue, it's very, very important to understand the issue. For you to solve a problem, you must understand the problem, what the problem is. And just as Dr. Adamu has stated, already we have instruments, we have frameworks that would really solve this problem. Some have been implemented, some are being implemented, some yet to be implemented. Of course, there will always be challenges when you are doing things like this. And coming back to your question of regarding intelligence gathering, yes, intelligence gathering has helped in preventing a lot of cases that would have embarrassed the government or that would have resulted into more apprehension among the citizens and the populace. Last year, 2025, I traveled with my team across the length and breadth of this country. If I can still recall, my team visited about 13, 14 states, cut across the geopolitical zones of Nigeria. And what was the purpose of this visit? We had stakeholders forum across all the states, and the stakeholders forum was on the security of schools and training of school protection squad, with the team strengthening security resilience and integration of host communities in the protection of education. What did we do? We brought all stakeholders, all educational stakeholders, starting from parents, teachers, students, government officials, all security agencies, both federal and state, volunteer groups, vigilante groups, forest guards, you name it, community leaders, religious leaders, name it, everybody that have interest in ensuring that education moves on smoothly in Nigeria. We brought them together from state to state. And what were the things we did? We brought in experts as well. Just as I told you, it's very important to understand the problem, because if you don't understand the problem, putting a solution is going to be difficult. And we brought up experts from those states. They came up with different homegrown solutions, which we started putting in place for each of those states. And part of the thing, again, is that we have a 24-hour call center at the police force headquarters, which is dedicated only to school security and school protection issues. And as a result of this stakeholders forum and all the things we put in place last year in Nigeria, this also caught the attention of the Global Coalition to Protect Education from Attack. That's the GCPEA. This is a very important international stakeholders regarding safety and security of education worldwide. And because of what we're able to put in on ground and what it has prevented, how it has affected the negative data, Nigeria was given a commendation. And as of 3 weeks ago, just last month, the African Union, in collaboration with Save the Children and the Global Coalition to Protect Education from Attack, they brought in delegations from 5 African countries. They brought in delegations from Democratic Republic of Congo, from Somalia, from Ethiopia, from Mozambique, and I will try to remember the 5th country. They were here in Abuja to come and understudy what they call the Nigerian model. That is, what is Nigeria doing? What are agencies in Nigeria doing that has resulted in reduction in attacks on education and schools? They brought them to come and learn from us, and they were with us. We had conversation for a period of 2 days. We showed them what we are doing, and there are plans to bring in all African countries to Nigeria to come and see, not only see what we are doing as regards Safe School Declaration and Safe School implementation, and also to learn from us. And I think to us, that is a positive development.
You know, Dr.
And how
Dr. Sugule, I understand that, and I appreciate the consideration. If you can hear me, I sincerely apologize for butting in. There is absolutely no doubt, I think Dr. Adamu said the same thing, there is absolutely no doubt that for every criminality that is reported, and you have also cited it, there is a lot that has been prevented. There is no doubt about that. But it's the feeling of safety that we're talking about here. The people, whether or not the people feel safe, that's the bone of contention, and I think that's the whole idea behind the question that Joke was asking. You know, for instance, there is this thing that we have heard over time, and that is people have commercialized criminality, and I'm not talking about the white collar one and all. I'm talking about the fact that when people kidnap people, the whole idea is to make money. And this is not something that is unknown to the police as well. I'm very, very sure that it's something that the police is aware of. The question that we're just trying to solve here is, we're trying to consider here, is how do we minimize that? What are the things that the people need to do? Because we need to begin to think solutions now. People need to know what to do, how to prevent these things on their own. How the people can be a part of the process. You talked about the whole of society solution the other time. How do the people participate?
Simply what we want from the people, what we want from the citizens, is that everything you see, make it known to the security agencies. Everything. We are not tired of getting this information from you. You know, everything. Put your eyes on the ground, starting from business owners. When people come into your business to try to get one thing or the other, there will always be a sellout, as in regarding their conduct. Report it to the police. Regarding landlords, what are the kind of people you give your apartment or your accommodation or your houses? Who are the kind of people you rent them to? You see, it's unfortunate that up till today, even regarding this particular situation we are talking about, some citizens observed some things in the days leading to this incident, and they did not give out information. And you know, I told you the Inspector General of Police are accompanying the IGP to visit the scene just within 24 hours of that incident. And even from conversation with some of the residents, unfortunately, some of them still say they don't have information on how they will report. And I also want to bring in the media houses in here as well. Both TVs, radios, especially radios for interlands and the print media. Look, dedicate some part of your programs into letting people know how to get in touch with security forces to report. Okay. You know, the budgetary allocation is so slim that we cannot afford to run adverts on your platforms. You know, so please take this as part of your own corporate social responsibilities for your viewers.
Well, there is something that we understand,
military,
Dr. Shobole.
Civil defense. They say this is how you can.
That is understood. There is something we do in broadcasting. We call it public service announcements, and all of that is still going on. For instance, you know, for a very long time we were running, promotions on the explosions, running promotions on CBN rules, running promotions on tax systems. All of those things are there. But sometimes the challenge is whether or not the people trust the security agencies. That's a conversation for another day. Dr. Adamu, let me bring this to you. Festus Akimboyewa on X is asking us, was saying this, the ease with which terrorists attack soft targets for hours and escape shows that intelligence is chronically weak. Nigeria can only reduce terrorist attacks on soft targets like markets, schools, worship centers, transport hubs, and other crowded civilian spaces by strengthening intelligence, hardening vulnerable locations, improving rapid response, and deepening community engagement. The president must be in the driving seat for protecting all Nigerians. What are your thoughts on that, Dr. Adamu? Oh, I understand Dr. Adamu is not there. Are you there? Go ahead.
I was saying that I think Festus is also kind of joining the fray. You know, remember earlier on I gave the description of the echo space where we have the government, the bad guys, and then us Nigerians in the middle. And unfortunately, inadvertently, and I say this with all sense of responsibility, inadvertently, we're helping these bad guys by the type of pressure that we're putting on our security agencies. Yes, we need to put pressure on them, but the danger is when we put pressure on them, we see very unfortunate mistakes that they make, bombings in locations that shouldn't be bombed and things like that. So what is the better way to go about it? The better way to go about it is to unite. I see that in channels you've started a campaign called Unite Against Terror. I think we need to expand that campaign to unite against terror. Intelligence is a cycle. It starts from somewhere and ends somewhere. So when Festus say, for instance, it's a failure of intelligence, he's not sure. How do we know, for instance, that there was no intelligence, but then that intelligence was not used? There's only an investigation that would reveal that. So let's be mindful when we put out certain statements, because frankly, we don't know. Having said that, I believe that the National Counterterrorism Center has the solution to enhance the capability, especially when it comes to intelligence and the function. You know, last year they launched a roadmap, 2025 to 2030. In that roadmap is a pathway for every Nigerian to be involved in this counter-terrorism campaign. So in summary, I think the response to Festus's question is that we should implement that roadmap that the National Counterterrorism Center has put forward. This is a very good time because the elections, 2027 election campaign are about to start. So we need to ask critical questions of our politicians. How do they intend to implement the provision of that roadmap?
Right. CP Shogunle, your closing thoughts as we close.
Thank you very much. I think it's also important that I also state here that the security and safety of our schools and other learning environment continues to attract the attention of the federal government of Nigeria. And just as we have been doing, which has received global commendation, security agencies would continue to provide adequate protection for all schools and learning environments, and also prevent attacks from happening. And one thing we have been able to do in the last 2-3 years is that all those that have carried out one form of attack or other regarding kidnapping incidents, they have not been able to repeat it again.
Right.
Yes, right. And we'll continue to do that. And also, we need information. Once you see something, say something. Yeah. For instance, just here, we have this flyer, which has phone numbers of how you can contact the Nigerian Police Force. And the phone number is 080-7735-7777. And again, I also want to call on media houses to also
please, can you repeat the number?
Broadcast this as well. This is it.
Repeat the number.
Repeat the number.
Okay. So the number is 080-7735-7777. So this phone number is available 24 hours a day, and it is only dedicated for school safety and security emergency concerns only. And you can also text us on WhatsApp or do a normal call. And all information, we have been getting a lot of information from this platform, which has led to prevention of a lot of attacks from happening. And then please keep the information coming, and be rest assured that required actions that are needed will be taken.
Right.
Thank you very much.
We must thank you, gentlemen. A very robust conversation, and is a conversation that I believe we should keep having, even if not just on mainstream media, but different places,
private
groups,
conversations
and all that informal conversations. Dr. Abayomi Shogunle, Commissioner of Police, School Protection Squad, Force Headquarters, Abuja. Thank you again for your time, as well as Managing Director of Beacon Security and Intelligence, Dr. Kabiru Adamu. Thank you also for your time.
Thank you, Bob.
Oh, wow.
A breather.
Again.
So, well, we must continue to live.
Yeah.
And the World Environment Day is somewhere around
the corner.
We'll let you know more about that when we return.
I'm okay. Tell me,
Thank you so much for staying with us. Well, on that previous conversation, we received this email from Fatima Kazim, who says, please inform the government that they need to do the following to secure the schools. 1, construct a 7-foot high fence across around all schools. Number 1. 2, the fences should be gated with armed guards guarding the entrance. 3, install CCTV all around the school. 4, please, prevention is better than cure. I live abroad and can see my house in Lagos 24 hours. The video will alert me immediately anyone comes through the gate, even my security guard. These children are not mine, but I have not been able to sleep well since they were taken. All these are the only way all schools where I live have all. These are the only way. All schools where I live have all of these gadgets. Government, you have been notified. Now, to the climate conversation we want to have. From the rising water levels threatening our coastal communities in Lagos to the advancing signs of the Sahel in the north, we find ourselves as a nation on the front lines of a global crisis. The warning signs from the earth are no longer distant predictions. They are happening right outside our windows. But today is not just about highlighting the damage, it's about immediate local action. And we'll be having a gentleman join us for this conversation this morning, because one thing that bothers me about this, Joke, is that we talk about climate action, we talk about climate change, and it sounds very, very sophisticated. But the people that are feeling the impact, they don't even know that there is a disease out there.
Just like we'll be feeling the impact during the World Cup.
Hey, oh, well, we'll talk about that one some other time.
No, because that's one of the conversations the UN is having. The heat may be affecting,
several, of course,
yeah,
definitely.
So, I mean, it's a serious concern.
Chinonso Agbo joins us this morning. He is the climate advisor for PACE program. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Do you want us to believe that you are in the village or some...
It's somewhere in the garden.
No, this is just...
Okay. When we spoke about this yesterday... Okay, well, I understand that Desmond Majakodumi has also joined us. He's also in the natural park somewhere, Lufasi Nature Park founder. Thank you for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I know you live in your bush, so we understand. Thank you for joining us. But let me come back to you, Mr. Agbo. Many times, and I think Mr. Bajakodumi would love to answer the same question. Many times when we talk about climate action, we talk about the environment. They sound highly sophisticated, like highly sophisticated language, but to a large number of people who feel the impact directly, it's just talk. How do we bring this issue home to the people? In fact, I dare say that, you will probably be able to, advise us, because when we talk about the climate, what exactly is happening and how come people are feeling it and they don't even know?
Thank you so much. So just for context, when we say climate change, so that's an average change in, in climate over a long period of time, let's say 20, 30 years. That particular average determines how, new seasons, are interpreted or are perceived or are experienced, across each country. For example, let's use Nigeria in terms of how we experience these changes. So an average farmer, for example, would see, okay, there seems to be a disruption in terms of rainfall season, okay? Then maybe the intensity of the rainfall, for example. You also see cessation of rain, either early or late, okay, depending on where the particular farmer is located. So if the farmer is located up north, you will likely experience this particular cessation earlier than it should. And then if you are down south, you are likely going to experience this rainfall with higher intensity than it should be. So they are already experiencing it. So in the dry season, for example, we are seeing very extreme temperatures, very extreme heat waves, across different geopolitical zones. So it's already a day-to-day kind of experience. So the average woman that is selling vegetable in the market would see her vegetable rotten faster than it used to be. Someone who is raising poultry would need to provide water sprinklers, additional costs. So these are things that even down to people, in terms of, let's say, infrastructure development or road construction. So you construct your road, you see very high heat, for example, you see the roads, the colters having what looks like bridges across them. So that shows you that we are experiencing this across board. So the driver who is transporting is experiencing it. The farmer who is also, farming is also experiencing it. The person that is raising livestock is experiencing it. So it's something we are experiencing across board. So it's not like isolated to maybe only those in rural communities, even those in urban centers where you have to spend extra amount in terms of energy bill to cool your houses when we have this extreme heat temperature. So it's experienced across board, but you just now down the interpretation to be able to say, okay, the reason why we are having this experience is because of climate change, and just to maybe leave it at that as well. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Majakudumi, thank you for that, Mr. Wu. Mr. Majakudumi, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, particularly because, thankfully, every time we call, that you should have this conversation around the environment with us, you are always there. But I'm not sure that the people that are supposed to benefit from the advocacy really even understand what is going on. What are your thoughts?
This is the big challenge, and as our brother did clearly explain, the information is out there, but there's a challenge, and that challenge goes back into the neglect of education, into the basic system, so that people don't understand fundamental things. There was a time a couple of decades ago when we were doing a documentary on climate change, and we went to the market woman, who's hard-working, boisterous, good woman. And we said, okay, madam, we want to discuss with you about this climate change that is being caused by carbon dioxide. She just looked at us and said, carbon kidney, and I don't blame her for that. I blame a system that has, in certain ways, capitalized on non-education of its people, capitalized on weaponizing poverty. However, it's coming back to everybody, because the reality is the severity of this climate change that is caused by global warming is rapidly increasing on an exponential level. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 120, it's bouncing on us. And it's reaching a level where the scientists have categorically warned us, if we go too far with these massive amounts of polluting the atmosphere, hundreds of millions of tons of these greenhouse gases, particularly carbon kidney, that is the carbon monoxide or methane. If we go too far, we are going to create a situation where we will be unable to reverse the process, because we will have triggered off aspects of nature, like the giant forest that has been sucking this carbon dioxide in for thousands of years, the ice caps that has been reflecting the heat for hundreds of thousands of years. We will trigger off a situation where both these entities will now become entities that are bringing more heat, because the forests are dying back because of the global warming, the ice caps are melting, so less reflection. We're reaching a very, very dangerous point in our evolution as human beings. And we need to get this across through the education system, through the media system, through any system that is viable for getting information across, even the entertainment industry. And I'm glad to say that a young man by the name of Made Kuti, Fela's grandson, he came to our Lufasi Park and he said he was so inspired that he is now writing lyrics for a song that will encourage people and create awareness about the utmost need to preserve nature. My question to you, you feel slap your mama?
Thank you for that, Mr. Badekudunu. Mr. Agbo, if I could come back to you. Some of these solutions that you suggest, you have a background that focuses heavily on climate, enabling social and economic transitions towards, climate neutrality. Nigeria faces a massive gap in funding its climate goals. How can we make, subnational governments now be more involved in this and the subnational green projects commercially viable to attract international climate finance so that we can tackle some of these issues that Mr. Majeku just spoke about, at least on this side of the world?
Okay, thank you so much for that. Maybe I'll start by, first of all, building on his the fantastic background that he laid. Across the country, for example, we've lost about 1.3 million hectares in terms of our forest cover between 2000 and now, which is like a 13% decline from what it was before, all right? Releasing millions of emissions into the atmosphere. Now from the work we do at PACE, which is Partnership for Agile Governance and Climate Engagement, which is a UK government-funded program, we are focusing on two key things. One is system strengthening, and the second one is mobilizing finance. Why? Because the current NDC, for example, have projected that for us to implement the NDC, we are looking at a funding, a portfolio of around over $300 billion. And that is expected to, support the key targets that have been set in the current NDC. And the beautiful thing about the current NDC is that it's now an economy-wide NDC, capturing, the other sections of the economy like biodiversity and all of that. For example, we are looking at a target of about, 100%, electricity access, and then we're looking at about 50% of that coming from, renewables, okay, which is like having that 50% in the, in the energy mix. But the funding, we have a huge funding gap, which is where PACE activity comes in terms of system, strengthening, and then how to mobilize that climate finance. So what we did last year in terms of not just discussing only the problems, but to see how can we begin to solve those core problems, is that we developed a unique, product, which is access to, a guide to accessing climate finance. And then we also have another toolkit, which we now developed to now use to assess the readiness of institutions like, subnationals and then private sectors on, their readiness to accessing this finance. So we know that there is a gap of over, 270 billion, because if you look at that projection, 80% of that will come from international financing. So now that we are here, how do we finance the targets that we have set? So that is where our work comes in. So we have been able to deploy this particular toolkit to about 20 states. So having conversations with, the top, policymakers in the states, all right, looking at various 6 pillars in terms of what is required for us to access finance. Because we are talking about accessing the finance will need to come into a system that has capacity to absorb it and also deploy it towards what it is intended to achieve. So not just to talk about the need for the finance, but the capacity to get this finance and then being able to now deploy it to what we want to achieve. So now that we have developed this particular tool, we've already also deployed it. We're now taking additional steps to support states to develop their climate change policy. So when you have a clear policy that sets a clear target, we now took it a step further to support those states again to develop their climate change policy and then in the implementation plan itself. So you have a clear roadmap, sector by sector, clear targets, clear plan in terms of how to now achieve that. We're also supporting some states in terms of how can you now institutionalize this, because if you have these targets, you will also need a bill or a law that can secure the investors' interest when these resources come in. So we are looking at how do we strengthen the system. So we are speaking to the investment hubs of the state. That's the investment arm of the state. We are looking at the budgets. We are looking at finance. We're also looking at how can states themselves also have certain budgets allocated specifically for climate action, so that you are also putting your mouth now. You are not just talking about it, but you're also putting action, on the ground. So this is also my own commitment to what I'm doing. And I can tell you that we are seeing significant results for states that have absorbed, and adopted these reform actions, which is part of the outcome of, the readiness assessment. So you assess yourself using the tools, you see where the gaps are. You now develop recommendations in terms of this is how we can come out of this specific gap. So we're not just talking about it, we are taking it step by step, just to also ensure that while we understand that the gaps exist, we're also taking critical steps to also, bridge that gap, by strengthening the institutions, by strengthening the, the private sector players, by bringing that very strong coalition, that conversation, by bringing people around the table to have that important
Mr. Agwe, just 1 second.
Sure.
Perhaps one of the challenges we have here is the language of communication. And by language, I'm sure you know, I'm not talking about a professor speaking to people. The language, how we make the... Okay, you heard, Mr. Maja Kurumi talk about carbon guinea. I mean, I'm sure you understand, what that means. I mean, these people have not the faintest idea of how these things come, how their lives are directly affected. I've given this example before. I have been to my hometown and places that were actually actively boisterous are no longer as boisterous as they used to be. And the environments are, even in the villages, are getting largely abandoned and consequently exploited by those who know the consequences, of what their actions are, because they don't live there. The people who live there are the ones that are vulnerable. How do we encourage the people in those towns, in those vulnerable communities that Mr. Maja Kurumi has spoken about, to see it? I understand the partnerships and all those things, the state governments and the responsibilities that they have, but then the people themselves need to get the information. For anyone watching us now, what are the conversations that you think they should be sending home to their people so that they, from that point, can begin to prevent what they need to?
Okay, thank you so much. Again, because part of what we do is we use a whole of society approach. A whole of society approach means that we are trying to leave no one behind in the conversation. So we are not just like talking to the state governments alone, but the vulnerable communities who are also being affected directly are also part of that specific conversation. So one is that we are, seeing how best we can simplify, this communication. Like when we're developing the NDC, part of the targets there is, climate education. All right, and different propositions came in, just like Mr. Maja was speaking earlier, integrating that into our primary, secondary school curriculum. Okay, and we've already piloted some of these where you have, for example, a young child plants a tree, owns the tree, all right, more like adopts the tree now, all right, and then that child is caring for this tree, is watering this tree, and then when they get back home, they're able to let the parents know this thing that we're experiencing in the farm, for example, this is why it is. So now it is now being translated in local language. So we're not speaking, language that are high end there, but translated in local languages that is easier for the man or woman who is not highly educated to understand it. And then what we've also done is to move it from abstract communication to everyday life experience, just like I experienced earlier. You say, Mama, do you know why your vegetable is rotten, faster than, okay, it's because of this, so it's because of that. So when we have that kind of day-to-day translation in terms of this is why we are experiencing this, then it makes it easier for people to understand. So why is the rain not coming as it used to be? Why is the intensity so much? Why is the wind, the way? He says, because of that tree we are cutting. We are telling you not to cut the tree. Now you've cut all the tree, and then, there's no windbreak, nothing to wage the wind again. So when you communicate that, converting it from abstract, communication to their everyday experience, and then also how the action of the local person is also contributing to, the impact of climate change, especially the local impact, then it makes sense. Like, for example, when I traveled to Taraba, they were complaining that their rivers are drying up. What caused it? Deforestation. Why is that? Because when you cut the trees are not just acting as windbreaks, but they're also increasing water, infiltration during rainfall, thereby reducing the silting of the rivers. So you say, oh, this river used to be here, or it doesn't dry up during dry season, but now once the rain stops, after like a month, the river dries up. Why? Because there's a lot of silt in the river, so the capacity of that river bank, that channel, to carry higher volume of water is no more there. And then there is no resources to also do the silting, like we also know, to clear up the channels and all of that. So when we now said, okay, it is because of the fact that you've removed all the trees. Okay, let's take a walk. We took a walk towards the river bank. All the trees there to about more than 100 kilometers are cut. So if you are standing, you can see end to end. All right. So I said, this is the reason why. So now they are understanding that, okay, even our own local action has effect. So there's a limit to what the government can do, but there's also, a direct effect of also what the people can do. So when we have that translation to everyday experience, then it makes a little sense. For example, if you also want to talk about maybe moving from dirty fuels to clean fuels, for example, clean cooking, and now you are bringing the picture, you are now communicating to the women to say, okay, there's a need for us to move from this old-fashioned way of cooking to this newer, cleaner fashion. We are now relating it to their health. So someone they know is coughing, someone they know. So by the time you communicate that clearly, it makes it easier for them to understand. Then you design this technology in a way that it is culturally adaptive. All right, it makes it is culturally also accepted. All right, it fits into the local cultural context, and that way you have a local champion who can help further promote and advocate for this adoption of this specific technology. So we must bring it down to the everyday experience, and the communication has to be simple. We did it, for example, where if you go to hospitals, maybe primary health care centers, maybe look on the wall, you will see the description, little charts that anybody can look at and understand what it means. So those simple communication, those simple translation, local translation, is actually what we need if we need to drive the kind of local action we are also looking at.
For that, Mr. Maje Kudumi, speaking about everyday experience, and I want to talk about the role of everyday people in this climate issue. You often describe humans as you often refer to humans as needing to be better creation carers, and we do know that a lot of people also contribute greatly to increasing the effects of what climate is already doing, like indiscriminate dumping of refuse, building houses along water channels, a situation that government is always fighting, and what have you using. All these are disposable things, non-degradable, disposable materials that we use every day, and then we still dump it, and it's not, those things do not disintegrate. So what is your campaign like in driving the renewal of minds of people to ensure that we do better by nature? Mr. Abu just talked about making creating simple language for people to understand. So how are you driving this campaign? What are the things that you are doing, and what suggestions are you making even for government to be able to educate people about these dangers?
Absolutely, it's multifaceted, and I love the grassroots campaign that my brother there has been doing, especially they adopt a tree, get the young people to adopt a tree, but they should be careful, because I adopted 3 okpekpe trees, and they were my children, young little seedlings. 10, 15 years later, those trees, they had the audacity to grow almost 25 times my height. Can you imagine? But I still love them. I tell you, my Peking grew 25 times bigger than me. But we need to really just really have that very radical transformation of our minds. We need to have this renewal process, because unfortunately for us, and particularly our children, the attitudes that we've had, and I'm not just talking about Nigerians or Africans, this is a global Homo sapien issue. Our attitude has been far too abusive, aggressive, destructive, driven by pride, greed, addiction to sense gratification. Got to do more, have more, have more. And in the old days, it wasn't quite as self-destructive. We came into a realization of a turning point somewhere just at the end of the Second World War, when atomic energy was used for weaponry, the nuclear bombs. Boom! You drop a bomb in, God forbid, in Aja, and people in Victoria Island end up being wiped out. And the United Nations, they advocated a program some decades after that, when the proliferation of the nuclear armament was going too much. They called it MAD, Mutually Assured Destruction. That is, if we continue going down this road of massive proliferation of these nuclear armaments and we trigger off a battle amongst ourselves, we will just destroy ourselves. So basically, this is the point we have now reached with our destruction of nature, which is our total life support system, everything that we need, from the oxygen to the water to the food, etc. It comes from nature. And the harsh reality is that nature is giving it back. This is the law of the universe. Every action begets a reaction. Whatsoever you sow, you reap. And I do feel that we need to really try to get this advocacy coming from the pulpits, from the different church denominations, from the different mosques, from the leaders of those places. Because it's very, very clear in both their scriptures that we are designated as stewards of creation, caliphs. Very, very clear. And we need to get a lot more of the pastors, the bishops, the imams advocating this from the pulpit as an expression of the fundamental of their religion, which is peace be unto you. Love your neighbor. And how can you be advocating peace unto people? How can you be professing to be loving your neighbor when you're busy destroying their very life support system, which is causing tremendous amounts of cancer outbreaks? Do you know the amount of people that died prematurely from air pollution that is being caused specifically by the burning of fossil fuel? Just Google it up. Minimum of 3 million people every year. Oh, and that's not to mention what the other side effects are by this disruption of the climate, and you have these massive, massive rainfall, what they call now the rain bombs, that will just flood out an area, hundreds of vulnerable people just wiped out immediately, and not to mention the droughts and so on. So we need to now have a very radical change of our attitudes, and this is one of the major ideologies and admonitions of the religious groups, that we need to to change our ways. And now it's become so urgent and so necessary because nature is beginning to fight back. We haven't provoked her enough over the next 20, 30, 40 years. If we continue to do this, as I alluded to earlier, the climate change will increase very, very rapidly and systems will break down. Lagos will be the whole coast of our country. The whole coastal areas from Lagos to Ondo to Calabar, all these areas, they'll go underwater. You won't be able to stop it. You can put as many boulders as you want, but the massive amount of ocean rise with the increase of energy of the waves, God forbid, we haven't reached there yet. And if we change our attitudes, we shall surely prevent this from happening, and we shall make the world a better place for you and for me and the entire human race.
Sounds like you have
My dear people, we've got to do that.
It sounds like you watched the movie Michael already, but don't answer that yet.
I almost thought Mr. Majakodumi was on the pulpit there when he...
Oh, right. I mean, that's him. The environment is his pulpit, I assure you that. Well, Mr. Abu, your last comment on this, but particularly with a particular emphasis on the theme of the World Environment Day for this year, now for climate, in 30 seconds.
I think I would start by saying this. 2 out of every 3 Nigerians is under 25. Okay, we're looking at about 63% of the population. So every action we take is action for the future. So 2 things are there. It's either we are handing over solution or we are handing over crisis to this young generation that is coming up. So we must take that critical step. And I think we're already making those significant efforts. So the policies and frameworks that we have been able to set in place must be translated to action that is reaching the grassroots. So every single person from the federal government, the state government, the local government, the councillors and the local chiefs, just like my brother also mentioned here, those from the pulpit, we must all speak one language. Okay. So we cannot, in a way, trying to, because we want to, industrialize or develop, at the same time, kill nature, kill what would sustain the future. So, the young generation arrives at that future and there's nothing to sustain them. So I think it is something for us to think about, and then also expedite the things we have already committed to do in our NDC. So the earlier we have that achieved, the better things will likely, become for the next generation.
It's also worth mentioning that what Mr. Majakodumi said about education. Yeah. It's not just the older people that have to bequeath this future to the young people that you're talking about, Mr. Agbo. We have to educate the young people themselves to know that they have a responsibility to protect their own future as well. But thank you so much for your comments this morning. Chinonso Agbo is a climate advisor for the PACE program, as well as Desmond Majakodumi, founder, Lufasi National Park. I promise you, I will not slap my mama. Besides, it's too late. She's dead. Oh. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Truly appreciate your comments and thoughts. So, don't look at me like that. I'm just being honest. Okay, when we return, I want to talk about Nigeria's justice system. It's sad that even legal practitioners have issues with that. That and a number of other things when we return.
Welcome back. So, we're talking about the justice system, as we teased before that break, inside Nigeria's broken justice system. In 2007, let me just quickly lay the foundation for this discussion. In 2007, Gospel Kinani and Ogoni Boy from River State mysteriously vanished after leaving his home. His parents sold their properties to fund a frantic search and ultimately died of heartbreak, presuming their only child was dead. He was locked away behind bars without a case file, official charges, or any record of an offense. A correction facility records check noted that he was brought in on June 9, 2010 on an awaiting trial warrant for armed robbery, but there was no substantive case or plaintiff on file. In July 2025, the Haven 360 Foundation discovered him during an outreach program. He was found to be severely mentally affected by the long-term incarceration. Through a jail delivery session, the River State Chief Judge formally discharged and freed him, as no legal basis for his imprisonment existed after almost 20 years. Gospel has been reunited with his surviving older brother, but requires ongoing medical and psychological care to help him cope with the trauma of his stolen youth.
Just to be clear, 2010 to 2020 is 10 years.
10 years.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He's been away for 15 years.
15.
Gosh.
Yes, but he could not be found since 2007. It was in 2007 that he disappeared.
Almost 30 years.
So it was in 2010 that we now started. Oh, well, so we have, the Haven Foundation, those in charge of it, here with us. Cyrus Ono is a legal practitioner and founder of Haven 360 Foundation, to talk about this case. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
On the program, and thank you for your work, really.
Thank you.
And then we also have Gospel himself, Kinani, the victim of the wrongful incarceration. He will join us online, and his other brother, Paul Kinani, is also joining us. Paul will pretty much be, speaking for Gospel, so that he can put this into better perspective for us, and of course, tell us what the family has been going through for these years. Welcome again. So let me start from the studio, really. Cyrus, tell us more about how you were able to latch on to this case, and what was interesting about it that made you really, fight for justice for Gospel.
Thank you very much. Thank you once again for having me. You see, our foundation was founded based on the mandate to provide free legal representation for persons who are unjustly imprisoned. Many persons like Gospel, among other things the foundation does. And following our foundation activities, during one of our outreach programs, we came across Gospel Kinane. As a matter of fact, it was the inmates that were there that beckoned our attention to say, please, you guys have to see what you can do about this person. They told us about Gospel, that according to them, they came and they met him there. The people that they met, the inmates that they met that have gone, told them, met the same Gospel there. He had been there for 18 years. And apparently it's not stable, it's not coordinated, it's eating from the rubbish and all of that. So they said, what can you do for him? And that was sometime around late August 2024. Late August 2024 to September. And of course we asked for him. We're meeting, we're trying to engage him, but of course it wasn't really corresponding. But we kept on pushing, kept on persisting. So each time we go almost like 3 times every week. Go with our in-house psychologists, and we just keep engaging. And at some point, members of our team were like, why are we still doing this? Let's go of this person. We asked, what was this person? We asked the officials, what was this person? We don't know him. There's no record of him. But from the very first day, he was mentioning his name, because he could mention his name. He would tell you, my name is Gospel Webari Kinane. But anything from there, it's gibberish. But he will tell you, my name is Gospel Webari Kinane. So we said, this guy is mentioning his name to be Gospel. But they don't have that name on the record, and they don't know him to be that name. And it was a very, very difficult situation. We started writing petitions where we're engaging, bringing welfare supports, and all of that, trying to engage him too psychologically. We're trying to also see what legal thing we could do to get him out, because it was a very, very, it's more or less like a ghost existing inside the prison walls. And we felt this guy he has family, he has people. He didn't just fall down from the sky and landed here in the prison. What exactly is going on? And we wrote several petitions. And fortunately, my Lord, the Honorable Chief Judge of River State, My Lord was very, very gracious, and he said, we just have to do something about this case. We just have to see what we can do to get him out. And we kept on persisting. But on a very particular day, while we're engaged, because each time we come, it gets better. Each time we come, it gets better, with the consistent engagement. And one day, he just mentioned the inmates, of course, were always around, we would discuss, and started talking. Mentioned his name, mentioned the name of who's your people, do you know anybody? Mentioned John Kinane. We later discovered that was his late father. Of course, it was not where the father was dead. John Kinane. Where are you from? He was just talking, mentioning all sorts of communities, but we should not later discover to be in Ogoni, in Rivers State. So our foundation launched an investigation. Because, my Lord, and nobody's going to release him until there's some form of document. There have to be some form of documentation. So the question there was, if we release him, who do we release him to?
Right, but even at that, if he was not going to be released, or he was going to be released on what documentation? If he's there, there's no record in the correctional facility that he existed. So,
So that is the thing, that is the documentation we'll have to, maybe we need to get affidavits, probably get family member that will attest that, I know this person and all of that, because the fundamental question or the worry then was, if we release this person, who do we release him to?
Let's hear from the family.
Yeah.
Paul, Mr. Paul Kinane, thank you for joining us this morning. I don't know if you can give us, or maybe even if it's gospel, what exactly happened, when, and how did this start?
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Evangelist Paul by Don Kinane, the elder brother of Gospel Kinane. Gospel means Webari. That is in a good language where I come from. And, we born to a family of John Kinane and Paulina Kinane, which is my mother. They are both late because of the issue here. We're from a community, Kwambokwe, kind of local government. We were in our community, due to communal crisis and the fight that were happening in Ogoniland. So my mother and my elder sister took us to Lumolumini in Rivers State. So we were there in Lumolumini in Rivers State, live in a small house, a bacha, and living with my mother. We were all there together. We had to get a different place from them, but it's the same community. So my brother, Gospel, was also there. We were together. And so this in making, because of the crisis in my community, and my mother get there, it was almost finished the primary school. And then, because for the long time, we have to decide again. My mother decided we have to put him back in the Rumonumini primary school again to complete it. So we were ahead of him to go to maybe secondary school. Then this thing happened. So, it is a great day. I would take it as a wonderful day in our life, where he was still praying and play and come back to the house, play and come back to the house normally as he used to do, and eat in the morning food. So in the evening time, he was still there. So around that kind of 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, he was there with us. He was there because there's in that very compound in Lumolumini there's a stores along the road. So you always sit there, also have play too with friends around there. So when it was night food, where my mother prepared after when he come back from the job, she go. We couldn't see anybody. He did not come at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. We don't see him. We don't see Gospel. And so the morning, we started to look for him. From one place to other, asked some boys that are his friend. And they don't see him. They say they don't know his whereabouts. What happened? We don't know anything. We started to move around the community. We moved around the old places and searching for him. We get to the nearby neighboring community. We don't even get him. We don't know anything about him.
You know,
More than started
Mr.
crying.
Kenani, I apologize. I can only imagine how distraught, the family must have been. I will come back to how you eventually learned, if you eventually learned about his incarceration and all of that. We'll come back to that in a moment. It was your own foundation activities, your own initiative that you are all about. Now, first of all, speak, because I think there is something that we need to see his face better, so we needed to take him off for a bit. How, from available data to you, or whether your own research, how many of such situations can you hazard a guess that exists in the country?
It's very, very sad. As it stands now, statistics has it that over 76,000 persons are currently in prison in Nigeria correctional centers. There are over 200 correctional centers we have in the country, about 240 something. Now, out of that number, 56,000 plus are awaiting trial. So that's more than 65%, close to 70% of the total number of persons in prison in Nigeria. Over 56,000. And out of those 56,000 of them, many of them, of course, are awaiting trial. Many of them have not been to court. Many of them have been there for years. Many of them 10 years, you see, 10, 15 years. As a foundation, currently, we are working on over 700 persons in this same situation. 700 across the country, 700.
So for neophytes like me, ignorant people who don't understand the meaning of awaiting trial, what does it mean? Because awaiting trial sounds like, okay, they have accused him, they know he committed the offense, they just need to take him to court.
So basically, when you talk about awaiting trial, it means that this person is, as the police or the law enforcement agency has arrested this person for some alleged crime, whatever it may be, and is waiting to be trialed in courts. So he has not yet been formally presented for trial in courts. So usually, what the law says is that when you arrest someone, whoever the arresting agency might be, the law enforcement agency might be, you have within 24 hours, at most 48 hours, to formally present that person before the courts and, of course, commence with your trial. In some instances, if you need to do investigations and your investigations you're not done with your investigation, then the law says, okay, within 2 months thereabouts, you must ensure you get a remand order from courts, then conclude your investigations, they begin trial within those 2 months. So those kind of situations, those persons who say they are awaiting trial, their trial has not yet commenced, they've not taken their plea, and whoever is accusing them has not come to court to present the case against them. So this is the situation, and unfortunately, many of these persons, when you hear their stories, hear that, oh, we're just, where we stay was raided, mass arrest, and that's how we're thinking and all of that.
I'm still a bit, well, maybe it's because of it's as a result of this whole broken thing that you're talking about, because awaiting trial sounds like all investigations have been concluded. That's the way it sounds to me.
And they're just waiting.
And they're just waiting to be taken to court to validate whether or not they were guilty.
Ordinarily, that's how it ought to be. The law has been settled in this aspect. That's ordinarily, the courts have said that it's just a very sad notion or a sad perception we're working with here, our law enforcement work with here. You arrest and investigate. That ought not to be. You investigate, arrest, and prosecute.
Okay, we'll come there. Let's go back to Mr. Kenani. Yeah, so at what point did you now find out what happened? Did it take long before you found out? You've searched and ransacked all of the communities around, you couldn't find him, and then at some point he was discovered. How did you discover him? How did you know he was in police custody?
Okay. The fact is that we try all way our best. My father were disturbing, my mother were disturbing. And even when people direct us that we should go to the correctional unit, prison yard, we get there, the River State prison yard, correctional center.
Sorry?
We couldn't, they even said to all that they don't know anybody called Gospel, or whether they don't know anybody like that. We even go there almost 2 times to look for him. So we were fed up. We don't know anything about his whereabouts again. And this thing continue grow year after year, year after year. Nothing. My father, my mother just died of a sudden, crying about him and everything. Don't waste time. My father also died of the same thing. My father will say, okay, let me go to farm, let me press our farmland, find money to go and trace him. And find. I said, where can we get him from? Where can we go to get him from? Because we have tried all our best everywhere, home and everywhere. We don't see him. And we don't know his offense. We don't know what really he have done. Why such a thing happened. And some people were telling, or maybe a bad boy or ritualists or whatever. Maybe they might be the people that are calling me away.
How did you eventually find him?
So, there was a day I was in the house in the morning. I now received a phone call from my village. He said my brother wife called me that there are people that are looking for me, and he gave food to one of my town boy, and he said that somebody is looking for me. So the time I had to speak with my town boy, he said there are a lawyer from Ogoni that is here now. That he said that whether am I a brother of Gospel Kinane? I said Gospel Kinane is dead. It's not alive. It's almost long years now. What is he talking about? Gospel Kinane? Where is it? He said Gospel Kinane is found in a collectional center in River State. That is alive. That I will see him. I said, what are you saying, truth or lie? Because so many years like that, and even this place we have gone 2 times. They say there's nobody like that in that area. So he said, don't worry, he will give me a number of somebody, and somebody will call me by evening time that same day. That I will meet the person at D-Line in Port Harcourt, and then I will get in touch with the person. Then I will know something about my brother, and brother will come out, and I will see my brother. So
how many years did this take before you eventually got this call?
This, like I said, this thing happened around 2007.
Okay.
And the 2007, because this boy, everybody in question here, I take record about many things about him. And, he was born in 4th May, that 2007, this year, of that year, of 1993. And so I have to look at him. This is almost 18 years. It's almost 18 years that we have not seen him. Almost 18 years we have not seen him. And when I calculate the number of years and the time he better, everything I see, this boy have stayed 18 years, so we have not seen him. Wow. It's there like that.
Okay. Well, Mr. And that's the guy in the gospel, right, sitting beside his brother. So how it's a lot, right? It's a lot. You say about 50-something, if not 60% of the people in incarceration now are not supposed to be there. They are wrongfully accused and all of those things. But this is a case of there is no case file, no record whatsoever of him being in any, any correctional facility or whatever we want to call it. No record of him being in police custody and all of that. From what you can find out, what's the trend that would make this happen? For 18 years, it's a long time.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm glad I'm glad for the latter part of the question because this particular case is in court already, and I wouldn't want to comment much into the facts. But yes, the trend. It's sad, as I said. This is not yours. It just happens that this is the only case. This is the case that's having the spotlight now. But there are thousands, really. I must be honest with you. There are thousands. As I said, 700, which we have working on. Most of them have the same situation, and one of the reasons is this. When these arrests are done, most of the time, like I said, mass arrests, there is basically no crime whatsoever. And because, so you see, because they can't keep arresting the agencies, they can't keep a person beyond 24 hours. And when the person is unable to make out bail at the, whatever, maybe the police station or whatever detention center, they have to take the person to court to remand. And so when they get to court, what they say, court, oh, we are still doing investigation, just remand this person, keep this person there, but it will come back will come back to prosecute. And the court remands, and the person is just there, and everybody goes home. So there's basically no, this is just the trend. It's a very, very sad thing. And as we always say, we have a whole lot to do as a country. And it's not just the arresting agencies, but also the courts. And it's a whole lot. And I think every one of us have a role to play, because when you bring somebody before the courts and you do not have, the law says, you look at least if there is a prima facie evidence, what have you laid down before we remand? If you don't have anything, ordinarily such a case should be thrown at right there and there. But you see the prosecution and everybody will say, oh, we have something, just hold this person down, we'll come back in 1 week's time to prosecute, and before you know, 1 week becomes 2 weeks, and before you know, 2 weeks becomes 3 weeks, for 1 month, and everybody forgets about that matter, and that person is there for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And by the time you will start investigating, and you find out there is no file, this person has not been formally brought before the court, and it's just so sad. So sad.
Okay, so the question then is, I mean, the arresting authorities are the police, right?
And other law enforcement, it's not just the police that do arrest.
Okay. Do you have any idea how he got into that place? Which agency took him is what I'm asking.
You mean in this particular gospel case? From the available facts, no. There is no record as to who arrested. There was no record. I know at some time, some persons were doing investigation.
He didn't walk into the correctional facility himself.
That is the question. This is the fact in issue that is before the court. And let them come and explain. Because from the available facts, from the investigations they did, I believe at some point, persons doing investigation even went to the commissioner of police and they asked, and they said, we don't know, we didn't arrest this person. So, who arrested Gospel? How did he get into the correctional center? Those are the facts that are in issue.
But I'm still confused. You know, I'm confused, and you asked me why I'm confused. If you go to a correctional center, you ask for someone, they can see the person. This particular fellow has been in the correctional center for quite a while, and there's no record. Why can't they just let him go? Before he started, being incoherent, before he started having some kind of, mental issues such that he couldn't speak properly. If you don't have a record, which means the person should not be there. So why not let him go? You know, people who are awaiting trial, they have records there.
Yes.
That this person was arrested for this purpose. They're waiting for the trial to commence. You go there and they document. The lawyers come. They see their clients up, once in a while, maybe once a week. There are records, but if you don't, which means that he was probably just an accidental arrest, or maybe sometimes maybe some people do something and they just arrest a crowd, and then he was just gathered and taken into.
Even as at that, there ought to be some paper trail. There ought to be some paper trail, even as at that. So that is a sad thing.
How long has he been out for?
He's been out for about 9 months now.
9 months.
Since July 2025. Then that's about 9 months thereabouts.
Do we have them back?
Yes, we do.
Right. So, Paul, would like to hear from your brother. I mean, you could just prompt him to tell us. He's been out for almost a year now. I mean, what does he have to say? He's experienced in the last 9 months or so, regaining freedom, and possibly his experience, what he went through when he was incarcerated wrongfully.
Okay, you can hear from him, but the health is not stable. He can talk to you in a reasonable manner, and sometimes not, but you hear from him. So you can talk to him now.
Yeah, even if it's just a little bit, let's just hear something, yes.
Go ahead, Gospel. What happened on the day you were taken?
You mean they arrest me? They arrest me.
Say now police arrest you or who?
The police arrest me now. They put me into the car.
When they carry you go?
They carry me go station.
Which station?
You know the station where they carry me go now. We're in an office. So since we first, if nobody will not stop one. So we allow the lady and leave to come at our side.
Comes cheap rich.
Where you did that time when they pick you?
We there along the road.
How many of them are they them pick?
Only me.
How many of them are they there?
Only me.
Oh, you just there along the road and they just carry you like that. How old you be that time?
Yes, I be.
How many years? Yes.
14.
Jehovah. So, what do you want now? The lawyer with there say the matter they court. What do you want make government do now?
Government, they will pay me money now.
You know how long you were in this place before these heaven people came? How many years it be?
15 years.
15 years. Wow. Well, thank you for talking to us. Let's get back to the lawyer here. It's really indeed, as you said, it's quite heartbreaking that such a thing like this would happen. So, when did this case start? How long is it likely to take?
You mean the case in court?
Yes.
That I cannot really. The case was already filed, and the trial is only ongoing. I cannot prejudge as to comment as to how long it will take, and all of that. That will amount to me prejudging the matter. So it's already before the court. It will take as long as it will take for the court to do.
So he said that he was taken by the police. The police say they do not have a record of taking him.
Yeah, but he was in their station.
No, he was in the correctional facility.
Was he taking the correctional facility immediately?
That is what we do not know. And honestly, most times I'm really surprised he was quite coherent this time around. But most times he just speaks, and if you ask him at that time again, who carried you, and he's, I don't know, some persons and all of that. So we're not really sure because of his mental state now. But we found him in the correctional center, and the family says he has been missing since he was 14, since 2007, and he was found in the correctional center. Those inmates in there said, the ones that have been there for 15 years, inmates that have been there for 50 years, said, we came and we met him. We came and we met him. Even the people that we met, that have gone, said to us that they met him. So that's that.
So how strong do you suppose your case is in court? And, what's the success rate of, these cases? Have you instituted any case like this before and you've actually won?
Well, fundamental right, the law allows for persons to bring fundamental right actions in cases like this. And of course, when you say how strong or how good your case is, I always tell people there's no such thing as a good case. You present your facts before the courts, you present your evidence before the courts. The case becomes good when the court says it is good. So when the court has looked at it. So we've presented our case to the court. It's left for the courts to look at it and to determine what it is. But of course, the law is that when a person's fundamental right has been breached, the person is entitled to reliefs, is entitled to redress. So in this case, when a person is in this situation now, like any other person who has been wronged, they have the right to seek intervention, to seek redress from the courts. And if the court looks at it and says, oh, truly, you have been wronged, then the courts will, of course, grant such a redress. So this is before the courts, and it's left for the courts to look at it. We can't prejudge the courts. Everybody will bring in their facts, everybody will bring in their case, and it's left for the court to look at it to say, oh, truly, you've been wrong, you have a good case. So there's no such a thing as, I have a good case, I'm going to court.
Okay. You said that this is, it's a big issue.
It is.
Tens of thousands. So that means it's a nationwide situation.
It is. It's something that that must be looked into, that must be checked. In fact, when we talk about the justice system in Nigeria, it's not just about this case. This is just the case that's gaining the spotlight. There are a lot of persons there. And it takes a whole lot. The correctional center is supposed to correct. They are supposed to rehabilitate, but for some reasons, they are not able to do this job because of a whole lot of issues, funding and a whole lot of that. If you look at these persons in prison, as you said, over 56,000 of these persons are there awaiting trial. Many of them are innocent. and they are there for years. So the question now is why? And what can be done? Why are these persons in there for 5, 6, 7, 10 years and nothing's been done? There are mechanisms. The law provides mechanisms. Judges goes, magistrate goes to visit prisons, and persons who have been there for 5 years, they come out more than if they don't have any reason for being there. But is that enough?
This is not the first that you did, right? What's been your experience? How many such prisons or the language is correctional facility, right? So
Yeah.
how many such facilities have you been to in your work with the Haven 360?
Yes, as a foundation, we've been to way over about 25 correctional facilities across.
And how many of such cases have you seen?
As I told you, we have about 700. And these are not your statistics. These are not just numbers. People we've interacted with, not just names on paper. People who are trying to help. Over 700 of them currently. We've met so many of them. Of course, we're just a young foundation. There's this much we can do. There's this much we can do. So imagine over 56,000 and we have 700 and so many other persons are coming. And this is a problem. When you get one out, you go back to the correctional center because, for instance, most of the correctional centers tell you, our capacity is about 1,500, but they have about 3,500 persons in there. Yes, they are so congested, over congested. And you're able to bring out two. And you tell yourself, you give yourself a pat in the back, like, thank God we've tried, we've done something nice. And you come back the next day and you discover like 20 more have come in. So it's really, really sad. It's really, really sad. Over 700 persons we're currently working on now. Persons who have been there for more than 10 years, 15 years, 12 years. So you see some of them, no record. Some of them, they're in court. Some of them, there's no case file. They can't trace the case file. For some of them, a few others, they're in court, but nothing is really going on. No witness is coming, no complainant, nothing, and it's very, very, very sad. Okay. And when you look at the state of these persons in there, that's another thing I really want to draw the attention of government to. These persons are in the correctional center, and we have to understand that an innocent person in there for 5 years, especially in cases like this for gospel who does not have family support, these people, they literally take care of themselves in prison. Because the welfare package allowed for them, provided for them, is not even enough to sustain them. It's not even enough to take care of them. Imagine 750 naira that has been assigned, appropriated for feeding an inmate for a day. I understand 750 naira. I understand they later increased it to about 1,100 and something naira, but of course, by the time you calculate all the one the caterer will take and everything, they haven't left with even less than 750 naira a day. So many of these persons in there, they have to do a whole lot to survive. And many of them are being abused. It has to be, government has to, we can't turn our backs and just turn a blind eye to this. Many of those people, the family had instructed me not to say a lot of things that happened with this particular case. But so many other cases, many of these young boys are being abused. They do a whole lot of things just to eat.
Well, unfortunately, we lost the feed to Mr. Kinani and his brother. Okay, well, Mr. Paul, let me ask you, Mr. Paul Kinani, let me ask you. So, as we wind down on this, conclude this conversation for now, what are your expectations? How optimistic are you about this particular matter? I assume that, please speak in a way that you don't jeopardize the case, as the lawyer has said, but what are your expectations about this going forward?
Okay, I was not even want to speak much about this because the case is in the court right now. And my lawyer said I should not say much about any issue in case somebody asks me. But I want to say this before I tell you my expectation. I've been receiving a series of calls threatening me from here and my community. So my life is not safe. My brother's life and I are not safe from the security from this. I should stop this I'm doing. I should stop this. Even though what I will see, I will not believe. I should stop this. I will do that so they will, when I get to home, they say, people come and find me and look for me. And even when I'm leaving, they say, people come, they say they don't know me. Like that, but some of them know me. They tell me, say, be careful. So my life is not safe. That's number one. My life is not safe. Nigerians should hear my voice. In case tomorrow they destroy my brother, they kill me, or they kill my brother and myself, or destroy my family because of this issue here. I can't keep quiet. I can't keep quiet. Somebody, a whole young man, a little boy, 14 years, grew there in the 33 years of the age now, and then 18 years in prison. Then I keep quiet. I need justice. I need justice for my brother.
Okay. It's a little befuddling that he's also been, what's the word now? Threatened? You are aware of that? Okay. Thank you so much for... That's a very foreboding conversation, but unfortunately, life's got to go on. Lifestyle. Real life, real skin, real solutions is what we're talking about. And that great skin is a result of a holistic approach that bridges daily lifestyle habits with consistent product choices. Let me underscore. Basic lifestyle choices and consistent product choices, not the ones you find on Facebook, Instagram. But hey, let's have conversations this morning with Falakemi Kolade, who is a consultant dermatologist at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here.
We hear things like targeted routines combined with proper hydration, nutrition, and rest can effectively reduce breakouts, prevent premature aging, and promote a radiant, natural glow. Absolutely. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Our skin is an organ. It's the largest organ in the body, and so the body, it feeds from the body. So it's not just about topicals, though the topicals are important, but care of the skin starts from what you put into your body. So your diet, and then your lifestyle, and also adequate rest. It's not called beauty sleep for nothing. So we do really encourage people to take a holistic approach to skincare, not just, several skincare products that may not even actually work.
Okay. Let's talk about something basic. I say basic because there are things we see around. Facts and myths. I will start with my own myths. You give us the fact. But maybe we want to start with you. What are the common myths that you know out there about skincare, skin conditions, and what are the facts?
So, well, the common myths now include things like you need several skincare products, you need like 8 or 10 steps to have fantastic glowing skin, or glass skin as it's called these days.
Glass skin.
Yes, that's the reading phrase. But that's not true. You don't need too many products. A simple skincare routine with maybe 3 or 4 products is all you need, along with the lifestyle things that we've spoken about. So having several creams, serums, potions sometimes does more harm than good. And then another myth that we are constantly battling with in Nigeria today is that lighter skin is better. And so everybody is trying to be fair, they want to be glowing, popping, and these things are causing us to use harmful skincare products, skin bleaching or skin lightening product. They say toning or maintaining color, but these things are causing problem because in the clinics now we are seeing more and more people with the adverse effects of skin lightening and skin bleaching. And so this is a myth. Healthy skin comes in all skin colors and all skin tones, and beautiful skin is in all skin tones. All skin colors are beautiful, so we shouldn't try to change the world that God has given to us. Those are 2 common myths, I think.
Someone watching you now will say it's easy for you to say you're fair.
I'm not fair.
No, says you.
I'm not fair.
Even a woman is saying, so
I'm not fair.
Yeah,
I'm
the dealer.
Well, I consider myself dark skinned. There are a lot of fair people, and then it's funny because people that are like my complexion are usually the people that want to lighten their skin because they are not satisfied. They want to be even fairer, but every color is beautiful. You don't need to be as light as, they say mulatto or Egyptian.
Let's put it
you
this
don't
way.
need to be that color to be beautiful.
You're not light-skinned.
Okay.
We can all see.
Yes.
Even vis-a-vis me. And I don't think I'm dark.
We are all black. We are all categorized as black.
We have different colors.
I didn't say anything. Why are you
Okay, camera, just look at the 3 of us. He's dark, darkest.
We're all dark, that's the truth. We are categorized as dark-skinned or richly pigmented or highly melanated people. So it's just we that see the different shades. To a person who is a Caucasian or Asian, we're all the same. You know.
Are there myths around some skin conditions like albinism and vitiligo?
Absolutely. And I'm so happy to be able to talk about this because this month is both International Albinism Awareness Month and World Vitiligo Day. June 25, World Vitiligo, June 13, International Albinism Awareness Day. And these are two conditions that, you know, people with them suffer from a lot of misconceptions and stigmatization because they affect skin color. With albinism, it's a genetic condition that they inherit from both parents and they lack melanin. So you find two dark-skinned people having a child who is completely color-free or light or almost white with yellow hair in most cases and light eyes. And so it's often scary to the family and communities. How did this happen? But it's simply genetics. And of course, with the lack of skin color, they tend to be more sensitive to the sun and are exposed to sunburn and sun damage. In our environment, people think albinism is caused by a curse sometimes, or people had relation, husband and wife in the afternoon. This is not true. Oh my gosh. And then people say, Afionjeyo in Yoruba, which means albinism. People with albinism shouldn't eat salt. That salt is what damages the skin. And this is also a myth. What happens is because they don't have the protective melanin, which is what keeps us, you know, safe from the sun to an extent, their skin gets damaged easily and they have sunburns and even skin cancer. So it
has nothing to do with salt.
It doesn't have anything to do with salt. It's the sun. S and S, but not salt, but sun. So we need to understand this, that it's genetic. There's nothing, they don't have superpowers. Recently in Malawi and I think another East African country, people with albinism were killed because they think their body parts can be used for money and power rituals, which is totally ridiculous. But unfortunately, these myths have made people with albinism to suffer from a lot of violence, which is misconception. So we're really trying to educate the public that these are completely false. And people with albinism are human beings just like you and I. The only difference is their skin tone and their hair color is a little bit different. That's the only difference that there is.
How about vitiligo?
With vitiligo, what happens is different. It's not inherited. It's something that happens when people are already maybe in their early years, 7, 8, or sometimes in adulthood, where the body gets confused and starts to attack the cells that produce color. So it's an autoimmune condition. In some cases, the body gets wrong signals and thinks that a member of the family is an intruder and starts to attack it. It's like someone should wake up this morning and not recognize their cousin or their brother and say, what are you doing in my house? I want to chase them out or shoot them. And so the immune system begins to attack the pigment cells. So parts of the body begins to lose color because the pigment cells have been destroyed by the body's own immune system. And this can be very challenging sometimes because it may be difficult to treat. Sometimes it doesn't respond to treatment. So you see people with light patches, maybe around the mouth or the face, you know, but it doesn't stop people from living a perfectly healthy life and rise to the pinnacle of their career. Our former NBA president has vitiligo, and he's a fantastic lawyer and politician now, and you know he was a leader of the NBA, and there are so many people who have vitiligo who are thriving and doing great. There are new treatments, but the treatments are not always successful.
But I'm not sure that any entertainer will agree with you on that one because they want to look their best.
Yes, but you know, it's all about context. So in America, one of the top models, Winnie Harlow, has vitiligo, and she's one of the top supermodels in the world. So it's all about acceptance and understanding. In Nigeria, people think vitiligo is contagious, or is a curse again, or they ate. Someone told me they were diagnosed with vitiligo. They said it's because they ate a family taboo, that there's something in their family they're not supposed to eat, and they ate that fish, and that was when the vitiligo came up. Well, we don't have any evidence to prove that that is true. We know that sometimes the body fights itself in various ways. There are many autoimmune conditions. Science is still trying to catch up with why this happens. But vitiligo is not something people should stigmatize or be afraid of. unfortunately, it shows up on our skin. There are many other autoimmune conditions, but they don't show up on our skin. But we just need to be more empathetic towards people who have different skin conditions, you know, and not be so scared.
Help us speak to Facebook and Instagram doctors. Yes,
It's a big issue today.
Wait. You will talk one by one.
Yes.
So you add lemon to lime, add this one to that one. What are some of those? Good God.
We have lemon. We have people saying rub tomato on their face. Some people are now looking for raw snails to put snails on their face.
Snail.
So what have we not seen in this our skin health and dermatology journey? All the things that we see, we just be like we can't just put our hand on our head in front of the patient, but we see things and things we see online. And that's one of the reasons why I've decided to be online a bit more. I try to educate people so that there is a voice of reason, there's an expert voice, because some of the things are really harmful. You know, you have some people saying, oh, mix kerosene. Yes, with
what?
With mix kerosene with engine oil and put it on your back for, you know, what people call eczema, tinea versicolor. People do these things. You know, we see people putting engine oil on their skin to treat skin conditions. We've had a case of someone who, you know, even got almost killed their child. The child had lice, and someone told them that sniper works for lice. And this mother put sniper on her. You know, the child was almost lost her life because sniper is a deadly organophosphate.
Yes, you're going to absorb it.
Yes, and the child was in critical condition. So I always tell people, don't just listen to anybody you see online. Nigerians are very good at speaking with confidence. They will talk to you and you will think that, yes, this person knows what they're talking about. But what they're saying is complete bollocks. I'm sorry to say. But that's what we see a lot on the internet. Once you can speak with confidence, say, yes, use this thing, I used it, it worked for me, everybody will just start using it. Without even knowing, does this person have the qualifications to make such claims? What level of education? What's their expertise? Nobody seems to ask the right question. They just follow because somebody said it on the internet. And so I always advise people to, before you listen to any advice online, ask who is the person talking. What rights do they have to make such claim? Anybody can say anything online, you know, but does that mean it's true? No. Follow the experts. Look for experts who are dermatologists, who are skin health experts, that are actually certified, you know, that work in hospitals, and follow their advice. And anything you find, cross-check with the expert before you go ahead with it and, you know, put it on your
skin. And you also speak to this alarming trend now where parents, maybe mothers, are trying to change the color of their children's skin tones with the What Have You products. And baby products, real baby products are being made.
Yes.
Skin tone products.
For fair baby, for you want your child to glow. Toning babies' creams. It's a big problem. It's a big problem. And that's why I said one of the myths we have is that people feel their child needs to be light, to be more beautiful, or to be more, I don't know, but it's not true. And so mothers are falling for this ideology and are being marketed to.
Call it what it is, a scam.
It's a scam.
Yes, call it, it's not just ideology.
It's a scam, that's the truth. And people are capitalizing on the insecurities of mothers and people. And so everybody feels, oh, if my child is fair, maybe they'll be more beautiful. No, children are, and then leave innocent children out of this drama of, I want to be fair, I want to be beautiful. But unfortunately, the internet is making things more difficult because everybody is advertising, oh, this organic cream will make your children's skin glow, will make your children light, that if your child was born light, children are usually born fair because there's no sun in the womb. And when they come out, their melanin begins to kick in based on their genetics. And then their eventual skin color comes in maybe about, by the time they are 2 years old or thereabout. But because when they are born, they are fair, the mother is like, he's getting darker. I need something to bring him back to the color the baby was when he was in the womb. Haba, madam. Why is that? What do you need to do that
Well, there's
for?
something they usually check. They usually check behind, behind the
ears.
ears.
Yeah, they look at the
That's
ears.
where you know
And you
where
say,
the real color.
yes, so some people will say that, but sometimes it's not accurate. And yes, you do need to know that most children, their color is going to change. And so that's perfectly normal. You don't need to try and maintain the color they were when they were born.
I saw another video, and I'm sure you have seen it too. All of you here, including everyone, a good number of people watching must have seen videos of people rubbing some black stuff on their body from top to bottom, as somebody would say. No, from the top of their head past bottom to the soles of their feet. Their entire body, black, whatever. What's that?
Have you seen it?
I've seen quite a few videos like that. There are different kinds of body peels.
Yeah.
Yes.
Body peel.
Yeah, there are peels, there are agents that are meant to exfoliate. And a lot of people use these things for various purposes. But a lot of them contain very strong chemicals that can damage the skin barrier. The aim is just, I want to be I want to be fresh, I want to glow, I want to be lighter. And a lot of people don't really know what is in these things and the adverse effects they can have in the long run.
What about the one we know? Some people say, honey and sugar body scrub. Are those ones?
Yeah, so a sugar scrub once in a while is not bad because you want to exfoliate the skin.
Yeah.
And sometimes, especially as we get older, our skin doesn't exfoliate as frequently as it should, so we can have a little bit of dry skin. So it's not bad once a week to want to exfoliate or use a scrub. That's fine. But by the time you start mixing some other oils, yellow oil, peel oil, and some things that are very powerful agents, then that's where the problems come. And they don't come immediately. So they may think, oh, this thing is working.
Oh, right.
And then a few months or a few years after, they come to our clinic with their skin destroyed.
And they will fail to say what they use because they're ashamed.
They always tell me, no, I've never used any lightening product. Never in my... Okay, what's the name of your current cream? Whitening, glowing, toning, radiant, something.
They have never used.
I've never used though, but the cream, super brilliant, whitening. You have to be like, okay, so what do you think this thing? Oh, it's just to maintain my color. It's not bleaching. It doesn't bleach. This is my color. That's the problem with it. Then we have to start counseling and, But I say we need to love and embrace our natural dark color. Yeah. Black is beautiful. Every color is beautiful.
I really don't envy
that's why they want to maintain it.
I don't envy.
No, they are trying to change it, but that's not necessary. This color is protecting us from the sun. And so now we are beginning to see signs that people who have used bleaching creams for a long time are more at risk of skin cancers, which we have not been seeing before.
So what about in this day of sun and the climate, whatever, yes. What do we do to protect our skin? Do we need, you are the expert, do we need sunscreen and all those?
Yes, absolutely.
Is it advisable to use?
It is. Not just sunscreen, but general sun protection. We do need a bit of sun. So I usually say 15 to 20 minutes of sun to make vitamin D, because vitamin D is also important for our health.
Is it after then that you can now put your sunscreen?
Yes, so in the morning, walk out, get some vitamin D, then apply your sunscreen. Apply sunscreen, if you're outdoors, you need to reapply it every 2 to 3 hours. If you're indoors, you don't need to reapply too frequently. And then other things like a hat, clothing. If you're going to the beach, for instance, and you're going to be in the sun, it's better to wear a sun hat, sunglasses to protect the skin from the sun, because too much sun damages, even us our black skin. That's when people start having black face and then they want to bleach their face. But if you are using a sunscreen that will protect you from excess tanning, then you wouldn't need to then look for a lightening cream to maintain the color. So sunscreen is important. And then it slows down the aging process. Nobody wants to look old or older than their age. And things like sunscreen can help to slow down the aging process,
Well, what
the
about
wrinkles,
children?
the fine lines.
They don't need sunscreen at this time of their lives, do
Well,
they?
so I usually say if children are going to be outdoors too, if they're going to the beach, you can use sunscreen from the age of 6 months.
Right.
But it's not something you need to do religiously on children.
Right.
When they're outdoors, they're playing, they're going for a football match or any outdoor activities, you want to encourage them to apply sunscreen to protect their skin as well. But sunscreen is most important for people with albinism. Very important and life-saving.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if I need any.
Yes, you need.
No, of course. As somebody said, we are not sure. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Folakemi Koladefe is a consultant dermatologist at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, Lasuth. The next time you come, we should talk about skin conditions that people need to live with. The ones that they can do stuff about, and the ones that they can't do stuff about, because to a large extent we take it for granted a lot. Thank you again for your time this morning.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me.
When we return, we'll unveil our artist of the week, who is on the other side of this conversation. Stay with us.
Stay with us.
Well, my my boss is going to bring on the guest, the artist of the week. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm looking at you.
Okay.
Let me be the artist. I'm licking sweet. Everybody. He wants to cover me.
Kobame? What's that?
Can you see that my
kobame?
mouth is moving?
What's that kobame? I don't understand what that means. Kobame. Anyway,
yes, we have our artist of the week. Doctor.
Yes.
Doctor, no, it's not a medical doctor, but, honor to whom honor is due.
Yes.
Dr. Damola Adegboye. Right? I hope I got that right.
Oh, yes, you did.
Adegboye. Wow.
Thank you for coming, sir. You're welcome, sir. I don't understand your own waka.
What happened again?
He was a lecturer.
Yes.
Were you lecturing in comedy? No. You were a lecturer of a what were you lecturing?
Okay, so I used to teach political science.
I see it here. I just want you to say it in your own mouth.
I can imagine that his classes were so funny.
I believe so.
They were so funny that, he couldn't just get anything in. And then he decided, you know what? I think I can do something.
Let's ask his student. What did your students say about your lecture classes?
Well, the most important thing was for them to pass. So, But before I started lecturing, I had always done comedy.
Oh, okay.
As a student, then I started anchoring events and doing comedy after graduation, even before then. But then it became official after graduation, and then lecturing came, so I did it.
Dayo, I want to put it to him that he cobalized a lot of people.
How?
Because they will be saying, far away. No, this playful guy, if you far away, this guy that is playful is comedy. If you don't study, he will come and make you laugh. Then he will go and study the secrets and he will be passing.
well, people used to say that, but I tried to be there for everybody before exams. But then, I've attended boring classes. Or I attended boring classes. I've attended a few of them.
Boring?
Yeah, yes.
And then you made the people laugh.
So when I had the opportunity to lecture, I said it to myself that...
Oh, I see where you're coming from.
That my classes will not be boring.
Never be boring, yeah.
Yes, the message was always passed, but then it was always laced with humor, so that the students will understand. They won't
not forget.
And,
was that the motivation to becoming a lecturer?
Well, what actually prompted me to go into lecturing was because, one, it came as a result of the fact that the university absorbed those of us that graduated with first class from that university.
Now that's an opportunity to announce yourself, ladies and gentlemen.
That was not the intention.
Ladies
but
and gentlemen.
You told me what prompted it. But then, so that was why that was a major reason why I went into it. And I've always loved teaching. While I was a student, I was always taking tutorials and teaching other students while I was a student. So when this came, I felt it was a good opportunity, 1, to give back to my university, 2, to do something that I really love, and 3, to explore that side of career.
Where did you lecture?
I lectured at Osun State University.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I did that for 6 years.
Is that where you're from?
I'm from Osun State, yes.
So you're giving back.
Well, it was a very great privilege for me to go back there to lecture. And I also saw it as an opportunity to say thank you to the university for helping me grow in that area of life. Yeah. Okay. But I did that for 6 years, and yeah.
So, but the academics would not leave you, or you would not leave academics.
Yeah, truly, it's an integral part of me, because I like the classroom, I like teaching, I like academic conversations, and that's why I continued the PhD I started, and I made sure I finished. That's why I finished, and that's why.
So how were you able to marry, the two, being a comedian and then,
I don't think one disturbs the other, or one disturbed the other. One disturbs the other. Comedy, MC is on one side. Academics is something that you can always do on the other side. After anchoring events, after cracking jokes, I go home, I sit down with my thesis, I get my job done before I sleep, and I just continued like that. It was a long journey. It wasn't a journey that started in 1 year or 2 years. I mean, the journey started maybe I embarked on my PhD journey maybe 2017, 18 or so. I started off in the school, I stopped, I started off afresh, so it was a long journey. It wasn't something that I just, picked up and finished up in 1 week. No, it's been a journey.
There must be some kind of complementary value for each other, because I remember a good number of times, Alibaba had said that, one of the reasons he did spontaneity was to check for those who had something up their brains. And he's also said, and you have also said the same thing before, that reading helps, the project, the comedy thing, right?
Yes. So another thing I was trying to do was also to prove a point that comedians are not
dropouts.
Just basic people.
Yeah, or basic people, yes.
The capacity to make people laugh alone requires a very special skill. I don't know your state of mind, how you feel, your emotional stability, if you are happy at the moment. And I've been able to crack the code to make you laugh even despite meeting you for the first time. It requires skill. It requires a dimension of, cognitive excellence. And so, adding academic capacity or adding academic excellence to that will just, make a difference. And I'm not the first person to occupy this particular or to have this kind of an achievement. Ellen Paul is one of them. Yeah. Simply Sakai is one of them, even though he doesn't do stand-up. But, he's... Oh, really? Yes, he has a PhD too. And I'm very sure there are so many others. So, basically, it's just to show the world that comedians can be highly cerebral. I'm not the only one that a lot of us are graduates, a lot of us have master's degrees, a lot of us are doing so many other things that are, that are mentally stimulating and worthy of appreciation.
So I think maybe it's nowadays that that's working, or perhaps is for some others, not you, to prove another point. And if I go to my father and I say I want to marry this fellow, he says, "Oh, what does he do?" And he says, "Oh, I'm a comedian." And my father will say, "Oh, so do you understand? But if you go to that level, oh, sorry, he's not just any comedian. He has a PhD in this.
From even having a PhD.
I'm just saying that he's learned, he's well educated. He's not, he's not just a secondary school goer who didn't know what to do and then became a comedian. He went to university. He has a master's degree. He has PhD. Then the father will look at you and say, "Oh, okay, really? That's my kind of person."
over
proving
the
a
years,
point. Yes.
Over the years, we have evolved.
Yeah.
We have grown beyond academic capacities now, or beyond certifications. This job is a noble profession. When, as a master of ceremonies, you stand in front of distinguished personalities to speak, to make them laugh, it is noble. You are an embodiment of an entire organization that puts their brand in your hands to project it. You understand? As a master of ceremonies or as a stand-up comedian. So as far as I'm concerned, and as far as it is, it's a very big deal.
But I don't know, it was, I started to think when the two married each other, master of ceremony and comedian, I thought they were separate professions.
They are two different things, but it's possible to embody both.
Yeah.
You know, when you are a master of ceremonies and you are also a stand-up comedian, it's possible to combine both. It's also possible to just be to be a stand-up comedian. It's also possible to be a master of ceremonies. So you can either be a master of ceremonies alone, a stand-up comedian alone, or both master of ceremonies and stand-up comedian. All of them are unique in their own right.
I hope you bill for the two. When they ask you as a comedian, also be our master of ceremonies, say,
it's just like an icing on the cake. You know, but then if I'm a comedian, if I'm invited to anchor an event and there is an invited comedian,
yes,
you know, I will just be a master of ceremonies.
Certainly.
In between, I may bring in some humor, but then I allow the comedian to do his job.
But if they ask you to perform both roles,
oh yes, absolutely,
you bill separately.
Yes, it's not going to be written. No, it's not going to be written,
but it will be known.
But it will be known. It will be known that there are two different things. But most of the time, the reason why they reach out to some of us is because they just feel
it's just easier.
You can switch.
Yeah.
Where necessary, bring in humor and then go back to seriousness, and then.
Okay.
I've always believed that entertainment must carry the one value, either of informing or of educating.
Mm-hmm.
But many people just think that entertainment is just for the fun of it. Mm-hmm. Where do you stand?
A combination of informing and educating. Yeah. It's not, entertainment is, yes, it's fun, eventually. But beyond that, there is a lot of work that is put into that creative material that you may consider fun, For a musician, for example, you have to get your lyrics right. You have to get your sound right. You have to get the message that you're trying to pass right before it is accepted first and before you can find fun in it. As a comedian, you need to be sure of the story you are telling. You need to find the humor in it. You need to find the message it is passing. And if it is just for fun or for education. There are some comedians that when you are done listening to them, it's like it's either you were motivated, or you got more knowledge, or you just laughed, or or you got new insights into a particular thing. A lot of them do a lot of research, and if I have my way, I can mention a few names. They have that niche.
Go ahead.
If you listen to somebody like Forever, for example, Forever is not just a comedian. His jokes carry messages. If you listen to somebody like Ovi Godwin, for example, Ovi Godwin is educative. It gives you a sense of, as you're listening to him, you have a sense of history. It goes deep into the archives to bring in humor or to bring out humor. If you listen to somebody like maybe The Stalker is a motivator. As you are listening to him, you are laughing. It's very funny, but as you are laughing, it's passing messages. So, and there are so many of us like that. For me, my own approach is I give you a chronological overview of issues. I break it down from a small matter, and I try to magnify it so that you just go through that journey, and eventually you're having fun. But it's a lot of work. You get informed, you get entertained, and you also have fun eventually. So it's a combination of everything.
Education, entertainment, and information. Okay. Many of your colleagues do one show or the other.
Oh, yes.
What are we expecting from Damola this year?
I'm having my comedy special. I'm having my comedy show at a hotel on the 30th of August, 2026. Wow. Okay. It's a comedy show that is family-oriented. I do family-oriented jokes. I don't do anything that will make anybody uncomfortable. And everybody that is going to be performing will also be doing similar jokes, similar style of comedy, where people can come with their family, sit down, enjoy good comedy, enjoy good music in a beautiful atmosphere, network, and have a good time. So it's happening at Eco Hotel on the 30th of August, 2026. I'm going to be doing comedy for a long time, and we are going to have some music, a lot of other comedians, and other entertainment expressions.
We'll be sending the invoice to you from the.
I will appreciate the soft
marketing.
copy. I will appreciate the soft copy.
For those who want to get in to comedy and they have no idea where to start, the first leg to take, who consider themselves domestically funny, but
not internationally funny,
domestic, not
yeah, funny among their family members,
naturally funny,
naturally, okay,
but not that they were produced in the factory. What would be your advice?
Well, I think you should start with your local environment to test waters. It's okay to be a raw talent. As you grow, you get refined. For me, I started testing jokes in my sitting room with my siblings and parents. I'll just say something, listen to their reaction. Okay, this is not bad. I go to the classroom among my friends. I try it. So I had some jokes in my head because I just believed they were very funny, because I had tested them among the people around me. So when I had the opportunity to express myself in church or in one small gathering, I'll just test those things, and they worked. So I advise people like that to just test, just enjoy your local environment, build capacity there, and also volunteer, especially in your school, in your church, on your religion, in your small associations. Okay, I can do this thing for free. Just listen to me, hear me out. As you are doing all that, you are building capacity. People are watching and people are taking note. Eventually, somebody will just believe in you and say, "Do you know what? Come and do my wedding." I did the first wedding I did years ago. I can't remember, but I can't recognize the couple, but they are still in me. They're still in me.
But the couple recognize.
No worry, they recognize.
They recognize and say,
they're still owing you 1, 2.
1, 2, yes.
What the? 1,200 naira.
I can't remember them.
Thank you so much for your time this morning, Dr. Damola Adegboye.
Thank you.
Who has had a stellar academic pedigree, graduate of political science from Osun State University, first class, and retained as a lecturer. And now he's a PhD holder in still political science.
Yes, political science. I would have stopped lecturing.
You in which political party?
No, I'm just a philosopher from a distance, watching and analyzing.
Watching and analyzing.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
And thank you at home for staying the course, Sunrise.
And wherever else you are, you could be on a bus right now or in traffic, wherever you are. You could have gone to visit someone in the hospital. It's okay. Yeah, we know. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. Don't look at me like that. It's possible. And you could also be in the ladies.
Oh, God.
Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
See you next week.
I am Akiri.
I don't know what he's talking about.